the voting system earlier that have delayed our proceedings. They say that to err is human, but for a real cock-up, you need an electronic system. Friends, despite the hiccup, we've had a good Congress. London has heaped on us its hospitality. And first, I wish to thank, on behalf of us all, our UK Liberal Democrat hosts. I thank, too, the many volunteers who have helped us here, and, of course, our party staff under Jakob Morosa Rasmussen. We could not have managed this meeting without the generous support of our sponsors. So to Canary Wharf, to Citibank, to Bayer, to Deloitte, to our Turkish friends from Tuskon, who fed and watered us so well last night. Thank you. While we have been here resolving our debates, at 4:30 this morning, our time, in Kiev, on Maidan Square, there was an armed attack on peaceful demonstrators, many of them students. I am delighted that we have had here representatives from the European Party of the Ukraine, led by Mykola Katarinchuk, who are leading their country forward to democracy and membership of the European Union. Friends, at this Congress, our party has grown. We have welcomed to our fold new parties from Greece, from Belarus, from Iceland. We've noted in our diaries our next fixture on the 1st of February. We've voted our bureau and our gender equality team, and we've agreed our manifesto for May of next year. And friends, I cannot say it loud enough. The person who steered that process so well deserves our thanks. Luzavis, you're a star. You know, what I treasure at these congresses is the chance to forge new friendships, to learn more about liberalism, to refresh my resolve. And what I resolve here is to redouble my efforts to defend and develop our achievements of peace and progress, to enlarge and enliven our European Union, to promote prosperity, to reshape the European Union to deal with the daunting challenges that we face in common. We meet on the site of London's former docks, on the banks of the River Thames, a site which speaks of ships and discovery, of departure from the old and arrival in the new, of risk and of venture. And this is where our world stands today. This is what the European Union must be geared to. For the old dispensation no longer serves. Liberals stand on the cusp of creation of the new. And I'd like to sketch 3 pictures for you to take away today. Pictures which point to the prime problems we face. The first picture paints 2 figures. One in monochrome, a refugee from Europe fleeing war and poverty, squalor and disease, arriving in America 100 years ago. The second, in color, a refugee from Rwanda, fleeing the same, arriving in Europe today. This picture compares Ellis Island then with Lampedusa now. In 1912, America took 1 million migrants, 3/4 of them through Ellis Island. In 2012, just 31,000 tried to get to Europe via Italy and Malta, including 5,000 from Syria. Openness and generosity to Europeans in 1912 made America what it is today. Our response to misery in Africa and to those scarred by Islam's suicidal split between Sunni and Shia says just as much about us. My second picture I could partly paint, for I landed in Manila 3 weeks ago as Typhoon Haiyan pounded the Philippines. This picture shows climate chaos, Storm Sandy knocking New York, deadly floods in Peru in February, Brazil in March, Argentina in April, bushfires blazing down under, record cold spells this spring in Europe, from Kiev to Croatia, destruction on the Danube, evacuations on the Elbe, the cyclone which sacked Sardinia, the rising rage of weather worldwide consistent with man-made climate change, caused by consumers, combatable only by citizens. You know, London was once infamous for something called smog, a mixture of smoke and fog. Here in London, there were people who denied for years, even for decades, the dangers of smog, until 1952, when it killed 4,000 people. So we killed smog. 60 years later, how many must die from climate chaos before we employ the science we know, before we summon the guts and the grit to make the switch from fossil fuels to clean energy? My third sketch shows a child from Chittagong, 15 years old and a sex slave since 10. This young girl is a sacrifice to internationally organized crime, to a pyramid of power drawn from drugs and guns, from people trafficking and mafia-type gangs. The pyramid is global. Our responses are national. Its profits colossal. Our counter-force constrained. So 3 pictures, one about migration, one about man-made climate change, one about a victim of crime. Each one showing a global challenge needing a global response. And the first challenge, the demands of development policy, of aid and trade, to plateau population growth, to mitigate migration. The second, the urgency of action to adapt to and combat climate change. The third, the imperative to work together against the people traffickers, producing a new slave trade, the latest facet of international crime. These must be the tasks of our work together. These must be the objectives we set for a new Europe. Europe cannot do all of this alone. The old continent is far from omnipotent, but we can remember our yesterdays and we can lead by example. We can invest in influence through the Galileo satellite system, the Human Brain Mapping Project, the development of graphene, a Europe of over 500 million citizens with our new friends from Croatia, a Europe to which other Europeans aspire, a Europe replete with opportunity for liberals. So let us repossess liberal ideas for Europe. Don't leave compassion to the left. Don't leave climate concern to the Greens. Don't leave law and order to the right wing. These are challenges to liberals. Liberals should know that busting them also means business. Here in this city, they know about business. They garner the acumen, the skills, the intelligence to make business work. They look outward for opportunity. They regulate to facilitate, but not to frustrate. And if Europe is to prosper, we need every European capital to look a little more like London. The River Thames is the thing that people know about London, the river they see when they visit this city. But there are many more rivers in London, most of them now flowing underground. Listen to their names: Effra, Graveney, Falcon, Fleet, Quaggy, Wandle, Walbrook, Tyburn. Currents coursing deep underneath us, pulling like the dowser's divining rod. Has something moved at this Congress? Something deep below us like those underground rivers? Perhaps it has. Something that carries the recognition of a shared liberal purpose, that we will not give in to the extremists. We need to recognize the despair felt by many about the failure of society to ensure either economic security or social justice. We cannot dismiss the Front National, the Movimento 5 Stelle, the United Kingdom Independence Party, or Attaka, or the True Finns, or the Vlaams Belang as here today, gone tomorrow phenomena. It falls to Liberal Democrats to fight the nationalists, because, friends, I tell you frankly, the others cannot lead our society onwards and upwards. On the trade and aid vital for development, the left builds barriers against cheaper goods. The right seeks to shut out the workers whose remittances improve lives. Liberals know that unless we are open to aid and trade, allowing others to prosper at home, we will never limit the numbers who vote with their feet. As Cecilia reminded us in her passionate address, building fences is no way forward. Cooperation with other countries and now knowing how to integrate is the liberal way forward. The nationalists see integration as damaging to identity. But the opposite of integration is not identity. It is disintegration. Diversity is a reality. Inclusion is a choice. On climate change, on energy security, the right is in the grip of big oil, a deadly embrace. The left is wedded to subsidies to cut oil's cost to consumers. On international crime, the Greens are suspicious of governments working together. The nationalists oppose cooperation at all. And when the criminal is halfway around the world before the policeman has his boots on, the left is nowhere to be seen. Look at the left in Europe. Admire the stunning bravura of Steinbrück, the chutzpah of Hollande, the meteoric Miliband. And who would they choose to command our continent? Gottes Willen, as the Germans might say, Martin Schulz. And Europe's right? Europe's right, well, I'm reminded of the words of W.B. Yeats. Over the blackened earth, the old troops parade. When Pope Benedict stood down after seeing the film Habemus Papam, they decided to sanctify recent popes. Somebody needs to tell them there's no such thing as a saint. There's just a person with an under-researched history. In government on their own, the right is bad enough. This year in Hungary, they gave a journalism award to an anti-Semitic, anti-Roma TV journalist. In Ireland, they tried to abolish the upper house of Parliament. But when right and left are together, it is worse. Look at the Grand Coalition in Austria. Now, this may sound incredible, but earlier this year, the Austrian Grand Coalition government withdrew for the umpteenth time what Austrian women call the bum bill. The bum bill is a draft law to make it illegal for men to grope women's buttocks. Withdrawn? Why? because they said the backside is not a sexual organ, so does not qualify for protection. Grand for the gropers, underwhelming for our women, and ghastly from a government. Neither left nor right provides the verve or the vision, the ideas or the inspiration to tackle these societal changes we face. They cannot even stop the tax dodgers, neither the coffee shop Starbucks nor the actor Gérard Depardieu, neither the multinational companies who post pre-tax losses in every jurisdiction except their offshore tax havens, nor the individuals with accounts in Liechtenstein or Monte Carlo or the Bahamas, all those who move money across borders to evade the tax authority. Liberals insist that government move across borders to chase the cheats, because taxes are the subscription charge we pay to live in a civilized society. Society must be fair or it will fail. And that is the liberal offering, a fair, free, and open society, freeing those enslaved by poverty or ignorance or pressure to conform. And if history is the record of encounters between character and circumstance, let us be bold. Let us create what that great British European, Winston Churchill, called a wider patriotism and a common citizenship for the distraught peoples of this powerful and turbulent continent. Friends, you've made this a great Congress, a Congress to be recalled from the annals of our history. You've bestowed on me the honor to lead us forward. I didn't pen that line until a few minutes ago, just in case. You've granted me the honor to lead us forward. You've equipped us with a manifesto. You've planned the way ahead. So look out to that horizon. The conditions are inclement. The terrain is tough. Our numbers are not huge. Here in the tent, where the maps are spread, let our minds move a moment upon silence. Ponder with the poet Yeats on our purpose that civilization may not sink.